An article, bigthink.com, suggests that a SimForm survey found that the average person has 40 apps installed on their phone. Are you going to check quickly how many you have? I think I'm in that particular category, and we use less than half of them. I think I'm in that particular category. Another study found that 3 in 5 people never delete photos. No, I'm not in that. I do a mass deletion so now and again, but there's some of them that I hold on to. Having thousands of unread emails is also so common. That's me. I'm guilty. It has become a meme. But is any of this healthy? I think is the big question. So they say hoarding has been associated with anxiety, and Dr. Emmanuel Maidenberg, a UCLA psychiatry professor, describes digital hoarding as a new version of an old psychological challenge, similar to physical hoarding. Digital hoarding may be harmful. Let's unpack. Sharon Knowles, CEO at Da Vinci Forensics, joins us on the line. Welcome, Sharon. It's good to have you.
Morning, Clarence. Morning to your listeners as well.
So we're not storing in our garage anymore?
Nope. We're storing on our phones and our laptops, and yes, welcome to digital hoarding.
And, you know, we are, and I've noticed that I'm spending more time, productive time, that is. I'm not doing social media. I'm not on TikTok. I occasionally wade into other social media kind of spheres, but the work that I'm doing on the computer is obviously leaving a digital kind of trail. And I'm not, and it creeps on you. Now I've got too much. I don't know how to weed.
It's so true, you know. If you have a look at your phone, like you were saying earlier, you look at the app, you go into your photos. So I'm a screenshot expert. I see something, I screenshot it, and I think, okay, I'm going to use that later. And, you know, going back looking, I've got screenshots from years ago thinking I'm still going to use it, but it is a emerging subtype of hoarding disorder, and it leads to, you know, this feeling of being overwhelmed and stressed, but it also can lead to various cybersecurity concerns for everyday people on their mobiles, especially because, you know, you don't use the apps, you don't update them. On some phones, you have to push the app to actually update, and that can lead to a whole lot of other problems as well.
It's a psychological condition. That's what they are saying. But I guess if you can afford cloud storage, what the hell?
So, you know, when you get those messages, especially if you have an Apple phone, where you get the dreaded message, your cloud storage is now full, and you think to yourself, okay, should I go and buy more? I think the trick is to take a step back and think, what am I storing in my storage? You know, what am I going to be using? What am I not going to be using? And sort of try and tell yourself if that is possible, because I know I was telling myself, I don't need these screenshots. I really, really don't. And then you know what I did? I printed some of them and stuck them in a book.
Oh, wow. And do you refer to that book?
Yes.
Okay.
So I find that maybe I'm just part of that generation, but you know, and I always put a cybersecurity slant to everything that I talk about, and you know, just looking through, for example, an app that I downloaded about a year and a half ago, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I don't use the app. Let me go and have a look at it, and the vulnerabilities that were behind that app and the access, because I hadn't updated, I hadn't even bothered to open the app. So digital hoarding it's an emerging sort of disorder, and it's not only those feelings of stress and disorganization, you know, it leads to risks, and that's what you have to be careful of as well.
So they say, well, having too much data on your devices is linked to loss of productivity and decreased well-being. It also increases your cybersecurity risk. The more data you store, the more you are vulnerable to data loss and identity theft. So you're exposing yourself in the process as well.
Exactly, because you know the whole thing about vulnerabilities is that the more hoarding that you do, and hoarding is such an ugly word, you know, it's like you think of those movies on American TV where you walk into the house and, you know, you get killed by newspapers and boxes. But vulnerabilities on your apps, especially older files and older software that even they can't receive updates, opens your phone to all sorts of things. And you know, that's where you have to think about it. And, you know, when the conversation is finished, maybe this morning, go and have a look at your device, look at those apps, look what you've got in your cloud storage as well, and cut down.
I'm interested in the generational kind of response, because I'm Generation X and I know the baby boomers as well. We do as little as possible because we're just scared of messing up. I don't even know if we qualify as hoarders.
Yeah, it's an interesting slant to it, because, you know, when you think of the term hoarder, and, you know, initially when I was researching, I thought, okay, I'm not a hoarder, definitely not. And then I went back and I saw all these things, and, you know, I was thinking to myself, does that define me as a digital hoarder? What am I going to do now? I have to do some cleaning.
Okay, so they say they are anxious hoarders as well. I'm chatting with Sharon Knowles, CEO at Da Vinci Forensics, and the question is, are you a digital hoarder? They say there are, let me just run this by you, Sharon. I'm going to read it from an interesting little post that I found. Anxious hoarders. Do you bookmark hundreds of pages or save old emails just in case you need them in the future? So I'm one of them, and they're suggesting that I'm an anxious hoarder. Dr. Maidenberg explains that people have an urge to hoard data to soothe their anxiety. The prediction of needing something in the future and not having the access to it is what motivates people to continue collecting. But I am new. I wasn't born when there was computers, and I'm constantly needing to teach myself. So I'm not deleting because I'm scared I'm going to do something wrong.
That is an interesting slant in it. I think I'm an anxious hoarder, because my start page on my computer is a page full of bookmarks, because I tell myself, I also wasn't born when there were computers or even high school. I need these links because I need to learn something. So if I save the links, I can go on later and teach myself something. And I keep telling myself that.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's accidental hoarders, there's compliance hoarders, and there's organized hoarders. I'd like to go through the ambit of hoarding with you, Sharon, if you have time. We just got a break for news headlines to guide us through it. Now, they say there's another type of hoarder, the accidental hoarder. You and I, Sharon, agree we are the other hoarder as well that I had mentioned earlier. But I think I'm also an accidental hoarder. So we've agreed that we may be anxious hoarders. Accidental hoarders, apparently, and this is what they say, is your inbox always overflowing because you just don't know how to manage it? You may be an accidental hoarder then, also called disengaged or disorganized hoarders. People in this category don't intentionally save unnecessary data. They just don't know how to organize it. Sharon?
I think, so I was trying to determine now, maybe I could move myself out of the anxious hoarder. But if I look at my mailboxes, and then I was just thinking to myself, how many mailboxes do I have? And I have more than 5.
Wow.
Maybe I'm this compulsive, anxious, accidental hoarder, but it is true, because, you know, when you have so much email, you have that feeling of being overwhelmed as well. Yes. And you don't delete just in case. And if you come from a certain generation, you maybe don't know how to organize your mail into folders. So it just sits there in the inbox, and on the odd occasion you might delete one, but you don't organize your mail. And then you think to yourself, okay, what can I do about this? Let's download an app that can sort our mail out for us.
I'm absolutely on top of my inbox. My wife isn't. She's constantly complaining, 1,000 emails in my box. But yeah, then there's a compliance hoarder as well. Are you saving all your work files because your boss says it's important? You may be a compliance hoarder. This group likely doesn't have any personal attachment to the data, but keeps it around for company audits just because it isn't theirs to delete. Are you that one too?
No. So I think with a compliance hoarder, to a certain degree, whatever your company dictates in terms of your emails and keeping your emails, they usually have a time period associated with all mails that go through an official work system. So,
yeah,
would you call this a hoarder? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm there. And then there's organized hoarders, and we're going to wrap on this one. Do you have an intricate system of saving all the information you find interesting or useful? You are pathetic. I added that. You may be an organized hoarder, also called collectors. These people have purposefully stored well-organized digital files. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the amount of data, people in this category feel in control because of their organized methods. They know exactly where any file is stored. I'm so not that one.
Yeah, I don't think I'm an organized hoarder. I'm going to go and have some rescue drops now when you finish, and I'm going to tackle my systems. But yes, I think there are people that are very organized in terms of the folders that they have on their devices, the way they store their mails, and, because they are so organized, they do feel in control. And you do find a lot of people like that, and I admire them.
Yeah, I'm just jealous. That's why I say they're pathetic.
Yeah, me too.
Listen, when you find that pull for this condition, let me know. But I get the sense that it could be really cathartic to just purge all of that data.
I think so. I think if you go back and just look and reevaluate what you kept, it would.
Yeah, or just kind of burn the slate free. Maybe that's what. Just delete everything, important, unimportant. Start from scratch. Thank you for this little insight. It's been wonderful chatting with you, Sharon Knoll, CEO
Thanks,
at the Vincent
Karen.
Forensic. Are you a digital hoarder? Well, you've got what it takes to diagnose your condition, and Sharon will tell us when that pull is found and ready for us hoarders to take.